December 17, 1944. The Ardennes forest. The most feared weapon of the Second World War, the 70-ton King Tiger tank, has just become a 70-ton paperweight. SS Obersturmbannführer Joachim Peiper slams his fist against the turret. His command, the Schwerpunkt, the spearhead of Hitler's last great gamble, Operation Watch on the Rhine. He has the best tanks, the most fanatical soldiers, and the element of surprise. But he lacks the one thing that actually wins modern wars. His fuel gauges are reading empty. The mathematics of the German offensive were suicidal from the start. To reach their objective of Antwerp, the German armor needed 4.5 million gallons of fuel. Hitler allocated 5 million. But due to Allied bombing destroying the rail lines, only half of that ever arrived. Peiper isn't just fighting the Americans. He is fighting a fuel deficit. His orders are strict. Engines off if stopped for more than 5 minutes. No idling. Drive in single file. The plan relies entirely on one desperate hope: capturing American fuel depots to keep the engines turning. The golden mirage, Honsfeld. At dawn, Peiper's column rolls into Honsfeld. They expect a fight. Instead, they find a ghost town. The Americans of the 99th Infantry Division retreated so fast they left coffee boiling in cups. And there, sitting in the morning mist, is the miracle. Rows upon rows of olive-drab jerry cans. Peiper's men rush forward. This is a Class 3B depot, a minor temporary supply point in U.S. Army logistics. But to the starving Germans, it is a dragon's hoard. They count the stock, 50,000 gallons. To the German High Command, 50,000 gallons is a strategic reserve. It's enough to push Peiper's entire battle group to the Meuse River. The soldiers celebrate. They pour the high-octane American aviation fuel into their tanks, fuel so rich, 100 octane versus German 74 octane. It actually overheats the German engines. But amidst the celebration, a terrifying realization begins to dawn on Peiper. He finds a shipping manifest in the depot office. He reads the journey of this fuel. Drilled in Texas, refined in New Jersey, shipped across the Atlantic to Liverpool, ferried to Normandy, trucked 400 miles to this tiny village in Belgium. Total transit time, less than 6 weeks. Peiper crumples the paper. He realizes that while Germany scrapes the bottom of barrels, America has built a conveyor belt across the ocean. Split screens comparing U.S. and German stats. To understand Peiper's dread, we have to look at the numbers. By 1944, this wasn't a war of soldiers. It was a war of accountants. Let's look at the petroleum statistics for 1944. United States, $1.8 billion barrels. Germany, including synthetic and captured fields, $33 million barrels. The mathematical disparity is almost impossible to comprehend. 1,800 million divided by 33 million is approximately 54.5. For every 1 barrel of oil Germany produced, the United States produced 55. The Americans had built a logistics machine that defied logic. The Red Ball Express, a massive truck convoy system, was delivering 12,500 tons of supplies to the front every single day. It is worth noting who was driving this machine. The Red Ball Express was segregated. 75% of the drivers were African-American soldiers. These men drove up to 36 hours at a stretch, often through enemy fire, moving the lifeblood of the Allied army. While the Nazi ideology preached racial superiority, their master race was being outdriven and outsupplied by the very people they deemed inferior. The Allied forces in Europe were consuming 7.5 million gallons of fuel a day. They were burning more fuel just to transport their fuel than the Germans had for their entire offensive. The 50,000 gallons from Honsfeld are gone, burned up by Tiger tanks that consume 2.5 gallons for every single mile. He needs more. His target, Stavelot. Intelligence says there is a massive American fuel dump there, and they are right. Stavelot holds 2.2 million gallons of gasoline. As Peiper's tanks crest the hill expecting salvation, they are met with a wall of heat. American engineers, commanded by Captain John Brewster, didn't try to save the fuel. They didn't try to move it. They simply poured gas trails between the stacks and threw a white phosphorus grenade. Peiper watches a pillar of black smoke rise 1,000 feet into the air. The fire burns for 3 days. This is the psychological breaking point. Peiper turns to his driver and says, "They can afford to burn 2 million gallons just to deny it to us. What are we doing here? It wasn't just Stavelot." Across the Ardennes, Americans burned 8 million gallons of fuel that week.
German total allocation for the offensive, 5 million gallons. U.S. fuel destroyed voluntarily, 8 million gallons. The Americans destroyed more fuel as waste than the Germans had gathered for their entire desperate last stand. By Christmas Eve, the game is over. Not because of a tactical defeat, but because the tanks simply stop. At L'Église, Peiper orders his men to destroy their own vehicles. 39 combat-ready tanks, 70 half-tracks, millions of Reichsmarks in engineering marvels. They are abandoned not because they are broken, but because they are thirsty. When American salvage crews arrived days later, they found King Tigers in perfect condition. They filled them with a few jerry cans of gas and drove them away. In the end, the Battle of the Bulge proved a brutal maxim of industrial warfare. Germany measured fuel by the liter. America measured fuel by the ocean. The German soldier may have been experienced, and the Tiger tank may have been a masterpiece of engineering, but they were fighting an enemy that could drop a pipeline under the English Channel, Operation Pluto, and burn 2 million gallons of gas just to make a point. Today, one of Peiper's King Tigers still stands in the village of L'Église. It remains exactly where it was left, a monument to the moment Germany realized that courage cannot defeat calculus. As General Heinz Guderian later wrote, the war was lost when Peiper found the fuel at Honsfeld and realized it meant nothing to the enemy. If you enjoyed this analysis of logistics over tactics, like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments, was the Tiger II a waste of resources or a marvel of engineering?